All of you. Welcome to meeting number 8 of the Standing Committee on Canadian Heritage, pursuant to Standing Order 1082 and the motion adopted by the committee on Thursday, September 22nd, 2025. The committee is meeting to study the effects of the technological advances in AI on the creative industries. With us today, we have Access Copyright, Aaron Finley, Association of Canadian Publishers, John Illingworth and Brendan Ouellette. With the Canadian Authors Association, Travis Croken, the Cultural Careers Council of Ontario, we have Diane Davy, the Fédération Culturelle Canadienne Française, Marie-Christine Morin, and Sven Burdens. Thank you for joining us. And with Meta Platforms, we have Kevin Chan and Rachel Curran. Nice to see you again. And moving on to the Canadian Authors Association. Go ahead, Travis.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee, for the opportunity to contribute to your study on the impact of artificial intelligence on the creative sector. My name is Travis Croken, and I'm an author and the National Co-Chair of the Canadian Authors Association. Artificial intelligence is transforming the world around us. The creative sector is included. While it offers tools that can assist artists, writers, and other creatives, it also poses serious risks threatening to undermine cultural diversity, intellectual property and ethical rights, and the creative market. I will center my remarks on 3 key points. Intellectual and ethical rights. Canadian Authors Association was created over 100 years ago, largely to advocate for the protection of authors and copyright. Here we are still discussing the same issues on a much larger scale with little room for error. Copyright was created to ensure the protections of creative works and to ensure creatives continued their work. Why pour time, heart, and soul into a project if it can be disseminated without appropriate compensation and control? The use of copyright-protected materials to train AI datasets counters the intended purposes of Copyright Act and worse, limits the author's control over their work, the ethical use of their work, and hinders their compensation, all for a system that will later threaten their livelihood, oversaturate the market, and potentially cause damage to their reputation and style through mimicry of their voice, or using their words in a manner the author does not condone. The impact on the creative. Much like a painter's brushstroke, an author's voice, writing style, and creative concepts are unique and create an identifiable brand for the author. Artificial intelligence can mimic an author's voice and flood the market with books strikingly similar to their novels, creating an unjust competition for the author. It also creates a multitude of ambiguity. If authors uses artificial intelligence in their novel, how does the reader discern which parts of the novel are created by the author and which parts of the novel are developed by artificial intelligence, thus undermining the reader's confidence in the author? If artificial intelligence is used to create a novel and directly copies from another author's work, who is liable? The author, the publisher, or the creator of the artificial intelligence system? Further to this is the time sink that is created. Writing a novel can take years, including multiple drafts, edits, working with publishers, marketing, and promotional tours. And unless the author is exceptionally well known, the royalties are not such that they can quit their regular jobs. Artificial intelligence has now added further steps to this process, including fighting for their rights and fair compensation, trying to ensure their works are not used illicitly, and trying to navigate this new and uncertain era. Further, the use of artificial intelligence in writing runs the risk of impacting an author's ability to create, diminishing the creative muscle as it is used less and less. And 3, cultural diversity. Canada thrives on its cultural identity and has fought hard over the years to protect it and to ensure that Canadians are treated fairly in the market. If artificial intelligence systems are allowed to be trained with an author's work without their permission or knowledge, are allowed to diminish an author's financial gain from their work, and are granted copyright-protected status where it is not needed, as artificial intelligence systems do not require any incentive to create. They only need commands. We risk losing our creatives that we hold so dear to our hearts. If our authors are not protected and granted security to defend their livelihood, we run the risk of them stopping their creation, not for spite, but for the inability to survive. This would leave a dearth of Canadian cultural diversity to be filled with foreign creators or artificial intelligence systems that do not create anything new, but simply recycle and reword what has already been created before. In conclusion, Canada should ensure that the guidelines and rules created to govern artificial intelligence ensures that our human creatives, cultural heritage now and in the future, and our ability to stay on the world stage of creation are protected as a distinct and valuable contribution to our economy, culture, and future. Consent, fair compensation, and transparency must be included in any governance created. We have a choice. Do we want the future legacy of our cultural heritage to be created by humans or by machines? It is in my opinion that we have one opportunity to get this right. Artificial intelligence already moves at a daunting pace, and if we miss that step now, it may be too far ahead of us to catch up. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
I say this because I think my writing is an incredibly unique example of how culture and innovation can overlap. I would say the same of Montreal, where I spent quite a bit of my life. I'm also of a generation that is not just going to be involved in innovation, it will lead it. Mr. Waugh said something to that spirit as well. In fact, many already do, and that's because we've made so much use of technology ourselves already. I've grown up with AI in ways that many in this room haven't. The generations after me will, and have already, in fact, grown up with AI in ways in which I haven't. In similar ways, my perception of Canadian culture differs from many in this room, and that's exactly why I've been consistent in highlighting that striking a balance between innovation and the preservation of Canadian culture is what we should all be working towards. They mean different things to all of us, but are no less significant. There's no doubt in my mind that innovation and culture can coexist. I do, however, believe it's going to require all entities in the space operating as honest, good faith partners. Ça m'encourage d'ailleurs, Mr. Chan, de vous entendre parler de l'importance.
Mr. Chan, I'm encouraged to hear you talk about the importance of protecting Canadian and Quebec culture, so I sincerely thank you for that.
Association is our country's oldest association for writers and authors. As a group, you've seen Canada's cultural sector through a variety of significant changes. From your perspective, how do we ensure Canadian authors' voices, particularly emerging, diverse, and francophone authors, remain visible globally in an age of AI-driven content generation and distribution?
Thank you. I believe we ensure that we remain present on the world stage by making sure that those are the voices that are being pushed forward. AI-generated content is going to be coming out. It is going to be a larger part of the picture that we're looking at. And with regards to what was stated earlier with the models being trained on already existing works, but the idea that it's not problematic because it's not spitting out an exact replica is not entirely something that I agree with, because it can mimic an author's voice. It can mimic an author's style, and it can greatly dilute the field for the author. So I think ensuring that Canadian authors have their voices forefront and present when anything is being put forth to the world stage is solid, and something that we could even look at when an author gets an ISBN number, it automatically is registered with Library and Archives. Is that something that necessarily needs to be done for a book that's created by artificial intelligence? If a book is written by AI, does it need to be entered into the cultural heritage of Library and Archives of Canadian history? That's another way that we might be able to protect Canadian heritage and have human heritage moving forward.
It's interesting. Thank you for the thoughtful response.